Music Matters. Mr. Adan Diaz.
What's up?
How are you, brother? Nice to meet you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Of course, dude.
I appreciate it. How you been, man? What's new in your world? How you doing today?
I'm sleep deprived for sure.
Hell yeah.
I'm living, dude. California, the sunny side. Feels
nice,
good.
Dude. Nice. We've had a couple of really nice days in LA.
Yeah, it's like I'm like sweating like a pig right now, I think.
Yeah. Not Chicago weather for sure.
No.
So how long? So you moved out here pretty recently, right? You've been here for just a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like it's like half residency. It's like it's like dual citizenship.
Gotcha.
It's
okay.
like, yeah, it's like I bounced from Chicago to LA. It's like whenever I need to, or like whenever I have free time, or like whenever I'm becoming manic a little bit, I'm just like, all right, let me go to LA.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's always work out here. I feel like there's always stuff to be done,
like something to do.
Yeah.
Do you feel like being here grounds you, or is it more overwhelming and you feel like you gotta go home? Like, what's that balance like?
Depends how I wake up. I feel like it's some days I just wanna leave, some days I want to stay. It's a fluctuating emotions.
Yeah, I feel it. Doing like a deep dive on you and a lot of your stuff, it does seem like Chicago is like a very important part of your identity. It feels very true to you as an artist, for sure.
Yeah, dude, the city's great. There's a great train system here. You guys don't, it's dog shit, but
yeah, it's fucked.
It's like, yeah.
Apparently they're gonna revive it for the Olympics. We'll see. I don't know if I'll be here long enough to see that, but
when's that?
I think 2028. So they're supposed to start in the next year, I guess.
Damn, I haven't even thought about tomorrow. So
yeah, I feel
2028 is crazy.
I've been to Chicago once. I went out there. I was staying with a friend of mine in St. Louis, and we drove out for a show at the Metro. It's a really cool city, bro.
Yeah.
It does feel a bit like San Francisco to me.
Really?
Yeah. It doesn't feel very big. Is Chicago bigger than I'm perceiving it as?
Maybe. I think so, because you have downtown, and then you have like Chicagoland suburbs, like that are super close, like Logan Square, like trying to think, like Lakeview. It's like not considered downtown, but still Chicago. And
gotcha.
It's like basically saying like Silver Lake to downtown. I feel like that's like the equivalent.
Gotcha. So even that's pretty close.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Where are you from in Chicago? Like, are you from a very specific part of it?
Right now I'm in Logan Square.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's like a Philly-esque vibe. It's like
sick.
A bunch of like people who have like 9 to 5s, but they like draw. They're like the coolest artists if you like get to know them. It's
sick,
like everyone has their thing.
Yeah. It feels like in the past like 3 to 4 years. Well, even honestly, even before that, I feel like when we were talking about before, when we were kind of growing up, I feel like, I mean, we're different ages. I guess I'm 2 years older than you, but kind of like our era of the internet, it felt like Chicago had a really cool moment when we were kind of kids growing up. How is kind of the music scene out there right now? Do you feel like it's changed over the years that you lived there?
I feel like it's always been consistent. There's always people are still like, there's always, I mean, it's live. There's shows every day. There's just like, you have to like seek it, you know? It's just like, it's not always like there in front of you. You have to seek it. You have to go out. You have to go to these local shows. But it's like, honestly, pretty lively, I'd say.
There's something cool about that, though. I think there is something cool about some of the really cool stuff being buried under the surface a little bit, where you do have to kind of seek it out. I think if you do that, it tends to be rewarding in cities like that. Yeah,
I feel like it's like not as big as like the LA scene, but it's like more backyard shows, more basement shows, more like garage shows. And I've always loved that about Chicago.
Yeah, see, that's super sick. I think the thing about LA is like it's a city full of like people from other places in the country, whereas like Chicago, I would imagine there's a lot of people moving there, but it's generally not for music, I would imagine, which I think definitely has some really cool qualities to it, where a lot of the stuff is homegrown, I would imagine. I feel like definitely I agree to that. It's like if you move there, it's definitely just like a bunch of Wall Street suckers. Is there a lot of like tech and stuff? Like, what's the big industry out there? But
I've seen like a lot of stock bros, because when I was in school I used to commute to like downtown, and like downtown, and like I'd walk with a bunch of like Wall Street bros. And I was like, it's just an awkward feeling, you know. I have my like backpack, everyone had like tuxedos, walking super fast, and it's just like, damn, I don't want this life. No shade to Wall Street bros, but it's not for me. Yeah, I get it. It's very fast paced. It's a lot. Yeah, there's not a lot of room to like. They all look the same human. Too. It's like, I don't know. I feel like early Chicago, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock a.m., you could throw a rock in the air and it'd land on Wall Street, bro.
Is there like a lot of nightlife out there? Like, does stuff kind of end early, or is it more adjacent to like LA or New York where there's things that go later?
As to shows, it definitely goes late.
Gotcha.
There's definitely been like 1 a.m. shows, 2 a.m. shows. It's always the best.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I definitely want to go out there again, bro. Like, it feels like a place that's very rich in culture. And it feels like the culture there is very, like I said, kind of homegrown, but also just like people feel like they're very proud to be from there, which I think is really sick. It's always a good sign of a city, I think. I feel very similarly about the Bay Area. I think a lot of people are very proud to be from there. And I think when you have that, I don't know, that very strong, like, localized culture and love for where you're from, I think people tend to do as much stuff as they can in their localized communities.
Yeah.
Do you feel like growing up, how did the scene kind of change? I know you've been there pretty much your whole life, right?
Yeah, damn near. Yeah, basically my whole life. As to the scene changing, I feel like it's pretty consistent. It's like hard to keep up with. Like, there's just so much music out there, and there's so much undiscovered people that I haven't even discovered yet. But yeah, I have no idea how to answer that. It's like there's so much music.
Yeah, I know. I totally feel it, and it's kind of in a cool spot too, where it's like, I don't know. I think the Midwest, like I said, like, it has a lot of homegrown stuff, which I think is really sick. Whereas like New York or LA, you're kind of just getting people from other places very often. Yeah. But it's interesting, like, honestly, getting into more like LA acts that are from here, like grew up here. It's been cool to kind of like explore that side of it as well, which is very different from like the more industry driven side of things in LA that, you know, tends to be kind of made up of people from other places and stuff.
Yeah.
Was that when you kind of came out here first? So you kind of been going back and forth, but you've been here for how long now?
I got here a day before the fires.
Whoa, dude.
Like a week before that. It was like on a whim. I just like started to feel manic. I'm like, I don't know. I need to go to LA. I want to like finish my project. I want to start my project. I want to like meet more people. And I just decided to drive like a week before. And then I got here and chaos. It was just fucking chaos.
That's a really crazy time to come here.
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know. It's just like, I debated on going home. I'm like, nah, I just did a 31-hour drive. You know what?
Yeah.
If the fire reaches me, the fire reaches me.
Yeah, doing it again would be fucking crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have to do it again driving back, but
yeah, but like back to back like that would be insane.
Yeah, back to back would be pretty insane.
What are the biggest differences in terms of like people and culture? Like, what are the biggest things you've perceived in terms of like the difference in the way people from Chicago act and the way that people from LA act?
No ego. It's
really?
Like, I feel like a lot of people in LA have ego. It's just like, oh, it's just so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like Chicago, they could be the most talented person ever, and you'll never know it.
Yeah.
It's like you have to like actually get to know them. Whereas here, it's like you kind of like know what everyone does, you know?
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes will be like, oh, I do so and so.
Yeah, that is very true. I think LA has this tendency to, or I guess not LA, but the people who move here, very often have this tendency to kind of like present themselves as what they do. I think I had a problem with that for a long time. Like, I think like what I do, especially in art, right?
It's a hard thing to do because I feel like if you ask me like what are like my hobbies, like I really couldn't tell you. It's just like strictly music. And I always like end up making something up. I'm like, oh, like it's like I love running. Me like never running ever.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's hard. Like, I think that's one of the most difficult things about turning your passion into a career, and that's, I guess, one of the best arguments against it. I mean, I did it, you did it. Like, there's not, you know, there's not very many things better. But I will say, I think one of the downsides is when your passion becomes a career, you got to think about the business aspect of it a bit more.
Yeah.
It becomes your livelihood rather than just something that you're strictly doing for fun because you love it. You know, you're still doing it because you love it, but it's also your livelihood at that point.
Yeah, I've thought about that. It's like at the end of the day, even if I wasn't like successful or not even if I didn't fully commit to it, I'd still be doing it every day as a hobby. You know, it's just like I feel like music has always been my life, no matter like in any form.
Yeah. Do you tend to make music sometimes that is not meant to like go out on your artist project, or is it difficult to kind of make something and not think like, I want to put this out as Adan Diaz?
1000%. I mean, there's tracks that sound like 100 gecs, and it's just like it should never see the day of light. It should never see the light of day, like ever. But I feel like that's part of the process. It's like every project should be a little different in my opinion, and I feel like you have to discover yourself. In order to do that, you have to make the shittiest music you've ever heard. Like if that means like rapping on like a poop beat, then just do it. You know? It's like you'd be surprised like what kind of music you have to make to find yourself, I feel like. So it's like just open mind. I always try to lean in.
100%, bro. One of my favorite books, it's so annoying how much I reference this book, but it's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. And one of the really cool concepts of that book is that you need to get through the bad shit as a creative to get to the good shit, which I really strongly believe. I think you need to make a million things that aren't you to figure out what you are.
1000%.
I think it takes a long time, and that can be pretty discouraging, you know?
Yeah, I feel like I still haven't found my sound technically. It's just like I'm still working it out, you know? I'm just putting out music and hoping it resonates and just seeing what works.
Yeah, I mean, you're also so young. You're 20, right?
Yeah, 20.
Yes, I mean, you have so much time to figure that out. It is interesting because I think some people, it feels like you definitely started so young that you were able to find success pretty quickly because, well, I guess not even quickly, but just young because you've done it for so long.
Yeah.
I think that kind of unfortunately relinquishes the privilege that some people have to experiment in live time, where like you can kind of experiment with nobody watching. I would imagine it is a bit more difficult when you kind of have found like, you know, a modest level of success or whatever at like a relatively young age.
Yeah.
I would imagine it's difficult because you kind of lose a lot of that experimentation period, you know?
Yeah, there's some pressure to like stick with the same sound, but I've been like trying to be more free about it and like just like block out the noise, kind of have like tunnel vision when I'm making music. I'm like, whatever feels good feels good.
Yeah, and I always feel like, you know, like it's very apparent, I think, the feeling. I talked to an artist one time named Estelle Allen on this show, and she always talks about that feeling of chasing the lightning bolt that only you see when you're making music. It's kind of like that flash of feeling where it's like, oh, this is it. This makes sense. Do you find yourself, when you're in the studio working very often, do you find yourself kind of trying to chase what feels the most authentic opposed to just like what comes first?
I like chasing what's funny to me. I like having a good time in the studio. It's like if a line makes me laugh like audibly, I'm just like, let's put that in. It's just like funny lines are just so good in my opinion. I think it's like I want to say the things that I feel like I can't say like in my music, just like things that I like second guess. Oh, should we put that in? And then like it just feels good to put in, you know?
Yeah, there's certainly something to the rawness, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing about LA, bro. There's like, I think so many artists come here and they have this perception of what they're supposed to be, or they have this perception of what they have to be, you know, catered to the traditional industry standard. And I think sometimes that beats a lot of creativity and experimentation out of folks. It's interesting. Like I always say that the music industry and music are very different things, ironically. They kind of exist on different planes, where like one is about commodifying art and the other one is just about expressing yourself. And those are very different things.
Yeah.
When you, like I said, like you kind of got into this very young. How was it kind of beginning to navigate the more industry side of things and the business side of being a musician from a young age? Was that difficult? Did it come naturally?
Honestly, the first couple years, it was just like me in my parents' basement, just like making music. And I feel like I wasn't necessarily like in the quote unquote industry, and I was just like pulling things from like movies, things. I mean, I was 15, you know, I wasn't, not much going on in my life. I'm going to high school. It's like, so I was just like pulling from the most stupid things ever, and it worked. I don't know how, but it worked, you know. I just had like this like such a flawed perception on life. I mean, like imagine making music at 15. Like I thought my first song, Ripped Jeans, I think there's a line there where it's like, I know you're 17, you got your life figured out. I was like, it's just such a funny line looking back at it, because like what the fuck are you doing at 17? Like it's like you have no idea still. You still have no idea in your mid-20s. It's so crazy.
I mean, I'm 23 and I have no idea what I'm doing. I still feel super young. It was interesting though, like being in a, like I feel like when I moved here I was the youngest because I guess like I was like just turning 21 when I moved here, and I was the youngest person in like every single room for the most part. Now I don't feel that way anymore. Now I feel like I'm usually like, you know, on the younger side, but like kind of usually in the middle of a lot of other people. Like there's usually at least one person younger than me in every single room, which has been a very interesting thing to experience, kind of like aging in live time. Like, it's very different when you look at your peers.
Yeah.
I also think in music it's so fucking easy to compare yourself to everybody, bro.
1000%, dude. People they'll go crazy comparing themselves.
Yeah.
And I think I've gone crazy so many times comparing myself. But again, it's just, you have to remind yourself, like, I feel like people listen to your music because it's you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, probably shouldn't steer off and try to like compare yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's kind of the only thing you have is like yourself.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like the only thing that you can contribute that is unique is your perspective. Every chord progression has been played. Every melody's been sung.
Yeah.
Every production technique has been tried. The only thing that you have to like offer that is like just very like strictly exclusive to you is your own perspective.
Yeah.
Which I think is something that like a lot of artists tend to forget when you move to LA and you got all the noise around you, you know? Did you feel similarly in Chicago? Like, was there any bit of music industry that you kind of ran into in Chicago? Or did that kind of exclusively exist in LA for you?
Not necessarily. It was mainly me playing garage shows and I've played some skate park shows, and it's like not what you think when you think of the word industry.
Yeah.
And it was just honestly me having a good time, and somehow the stars like align. Like we just like play these skate parks, we'd play these basement shows, not thinking anything of it, and just wanting to like have a good time and get messed up. You know, it's like, but it just, I don't know, it resonated with people.
Yeah. That's really cool because there's something very homegrown about that. Like, it's really sick to kind of find your footing in the place that you're from. It's very different than moving here and finding your footing. You kind of have like a really cool localized fan base, which I think is something that's very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I loved playing Chicago shows. I used to, like, any person that would like come in through Chicago, like, I guess like industry, like LA people or like big acts that would come through Chicago, I would like DM everyone. I'd be like, okay, can I open? And then there was a point where I was playing multiple shows a month for these artists, and then I'm like, all right,
damn,
maybe Chicago's had enough of me, and then I just stopped DMing them. I'm like, I've played enough shows this month.
But that's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I think everyone should do it starting off. It's like a great way to like build a fan base.
Yeah.
And I think there was just a point where I'm like, okay, I'm playing the same songs over and over and over.
Yeah, but there is something, it's funny, I think things like that seem so simple that people often overlook them. Like, just like the genuine, let me make a connection with this person. Like, just be yourself. Just straight up, like, hey, like, I love your music. Any chance you need an opener at the Metro or, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Just doing things like that, I think, are things that people often overlook. And I think that comes with, like, overcomplicating this shit and overthinking it to the degree where it's like, you think to get a spot like that, there has to be something, you know, you gotta, some really crazy ingrained industry connection, and you think it's more complicated than it is.
Nah, dude, I'd be like begging on my knees in the DMs.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm sick, I'm cool, I'm fun, I'm funny.
Please.
Can I open for you?
What were some of those early shows that really changed things for you? I know you said that in the beginning you were playing a lot of like skate parks and just like whatever, like, you know, small venues, garages, whatever. When did you kind of graduate from that to opening for some of these bigger acts, and how did things change around that time?
One of my first shows I ever played was actually like a friend, my friend Victor Internet. He like asked me to open up for him. I had never played a show with a band before. I mean, I had, but like not in a sense where I'm on stage.
Yeah.
And doing my own project. And it was.
Were you playing guitar before?
Yeah. I played guitar on stage, and it was like a Halloween show. It was my first show ever, and I played for an audience, and it just felt like I was playing Coachella, basically, in my head.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ, I love this. It's like you get some sort of like unmatched adrenaline that nothing else can really give you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my first shows. One of my really good friends, Victor Internet, he let me play that show, and just like boosted my confidence so much, and that's when I started like DMing people. I played a show with Laundry Day.
Nice.
When they were coming through Chicago. Loved them so much as a band. That was
so sick,
such a fun show.
So sick to see the way they've progressed over the years.
Yeah, dude.
I was just talking about this last night with a friend of mine because their new song is so good, the one they just put out.
Which one is that one?
I don't remember the title of it. It's the one with the world of the like the planet Earth on the cover.
There's Damn Shame. There's like No Go.
Let me see. Hold up. They like just put it out like last week, I think. Let's see. It's called Other Side of the World. Yeah, last week.
I haven't listened yet.
Dude, so good. But anyway,
I have to listen.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I hadn't heard it till last night, and a friend of mine played it, and we were just talking about how, like, I mean, when I was in high school, I totally viewed Laundry Day as like this like really high art, like really cool alt pop thing.
Yeah.
Especially them all being like jazz dudes, and
they're bringing boy bands back.
I was gonna say that. Yeah. Yeah,
and they're die hard for like New York. It's like it inspires me so much to be like die hard for Chicago.
Yeah. Do you feel that kind of connection point to Chicago, where you would, as you get further in your career, really, really try to put on as much for you can as you for your city?
1000%. I want to see more shows. I want to meet more people, no matter like what level of artistry I'm at. I always want to go back. I just got to make sure my project is finished first before I go back. But,
yeah. No, I totally feel that.
I'm so excited to go back to Chicago.
So when did you, like I said, so you're kind of playing these smaller shows at skate parks and garages and stuff, kind of doing the whole Chicago, almost DIY thing.
Mm-hmm.
When do you kind of hit a show where that changes a lot for you and changes your mindset? Was it that Victor Internet show in the early days?
I think it was the Victor Internet show, because that's when I got the mindset of, oh, okay, I could do this.
Yeah.
I embarrassed myself a little bit that show, but I was like, this feeling is great, and I think I can do it. And yeah, I was on a rampage. I like kept chasing that adrenaline of playing shows for so long. And I'm trying to remember like other people I opened for. I think those are the only two like notable ones that I can remember. The Victor Internet one and Laundry Day one was like just like those points where I'm like, damn, I could do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's really cool, man. I think those moments are very defining. Like, I think those are the biggest moments you learn from. It's kind of like, I don't know, I always visualize it as like putting your chips all in, right? It's like you kind of have to risk that embarrassment, or you have to risk that lack of experience on stage, whatever, but you need to eventually graduate to those bigger rooms, or else there's no way to kind of like, and at least in the live sense, I think, begin to accumulate a fan base. I also think like doing that, right, like opening for people underrate what that does for your career very often. I think people underrate the value of live music, because we've just catered so much to the internet in the past 5 years that people very, very, very strongly, I think, underrate the value of like getting a really good, really fitting opening tour that can change the whole trajectory of what you're doing.
I mean, yeah, it has like it could be amazing, and it could be an embarrassment. I've had a couple times where it's like an embarrassment, and like people are talking super loud, they can't hear you. But I think it's part of being an opener. I think there's like a beauty of being an opener. It's like it like humbles you, and at the same time it inspires you, and it's like a million emotions at once. That's like, it's unreal. Yeah.
Those shows where you kind of had people talking through them and stuff, what were the biggest lessons that you took from some of those shows that were a bit tougher?
Yeah, I keep going, dude. It's like I'd always tell my band before we went on stage, I'm like, dude, this is a party of us, like just like us. Let's just keep looking at each other, let's party. And it's like, I always tell them we're playing for each other, and if they like it, then they like it, if they hate it, then so be it. We're still having a good time.
Yeah, that's a really good way to visualize it. I think playing like you guys are still rehearsing, like you're jamming in a garage or whatever.
I just like me personally, just because I'm a very anxious person, I just like I pretend like I'm not on a stage, like just like just another rehearsal, try to have fun.
That's sick, man. That is like, I think, again, like another word of advice that I think people often overlook, because it seems so simple. It's like it's like how people overlook cliches because they're cliches, but it really is as simple as like, if you look like you're having a crazy amount of fun on stage, the whole audience is inclined to feel the same way. And if you look miserable on stage, or you look terrified, unfortunately, I mean, that's real, right? It happens, but like,
it happens.
Unfortunately, the crowd very often leans into that. They can see that, and that sucks for sure.
Yeah.
But it is the reality, I think. So I totally see the point of like just trying to look as like you're having as much fun as possible, and just actually having that fun, right?
Yeah, it's really cool when it's like your bandmates are your best friends, and it's like you have those inside jokes that I'm sure like everyone has, and sometimes you just look at each other and start laughing on stage. It's just,
play like the first chord of something.
Yeah. Play something wrong, or like give like a signal that one of your bandmates farted, and it's just like, it's always a great time.
How did you have you been playing with the same band since you started?
Yeah, basically. No, I had an older band when I first started. But they got really busy with school, and they were really invested in school, so we just parted ways. But then I found a new band just like through mutuals and just like through friends, and it was a really natural kind of transition where it's like it was just us jamming out, and it's like, okay, we have a tour offer. should we just go? You guys want to go? And then like, yeah, they dropped everything. I dropped everything, and it was the best.
Do you feel like you got a lot closer to them through those tour experiences?
100%, dude.
I'm sure.
It's like our first tour. It's like the first couple hours in the car, you get so close because like, yeah, it's just like you're breathing the same air. You're farting, and you probably have to say it out loud that you farted, because or else it's gonna be really awkward.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
And you're seeing each other's eating habits. You're seeing each other's like flaws. You're seeing each other's driving. If someone sucks at driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just see everything about. You learn a lot about everyone, and I think you learn to be vulnerable because, I mean, you're living on the road, dude. It's like you have to like. It's a very new feeling, and yeah, you have to humble yourself on the road. It's crazy. Yeah,
which I think is very formative for a lot of artists. I mean, this is like a silly comparison, but how I always think about it is like I ran cross country in high school, and one of the coolest things about really
middle school.
I wonder if you relate to this then. Like I think one of the coolest things about that experience is how fucking close you get to your teammates, and I think the reason that you kind of get that close is because it's almost like trauma bonding. Like
100%.
You guys are just feeling, because bro, running 10 miles. It's fun, but it's not fun. It definitely sucks. So it's like you having that collective experience with a whole group of folks that are doing the exact same thing, that shapes you guys in a very similar way. Like you get very close to them because of that.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like on our first tour, my van, we call it the damn it, what do we call it? I'm trying to remember the Blue Mutant. Okay, because it's
Blue Mutant.
Yeah. It's like a Dodge. It's like a Dodge Caravan. It's a blue.
Bro, I just got like 3 calls in like a minute. Holy shit.
Oh boy.
That's my mom.
Maybe it's important.
No, I'm not gonna answer my mom.
All right, yeah.
Shut up, moms.
No worries. Yeah, we call it the Blue Mutant. It's a Dodge Caravan. It's a very old van, but she's reliable.
Nice.
She's reliable.
She gets the job done.
It broke down on us in the middle of like the desert, and
Where
it overheated. Oh man, I can't remember. I think it was like I don't know.
Middle of nowhere.
Yeah, middle of nowhere. I can't remember what state it was in, but it overheated. The heat knob turned all the way up, and we're like, oh my god, it started smoking. We're like all running out the car like it's gonna explode or something. God. And we're all like being so dramatic. And
what was wrong with it? Was like the thermostat or something?
The radiator had a leak in it.
Oh, that's kind of a big thing though.
Yeah, and we had to put water in it and then like take it to like the nearest gas station, and just like it was trauma bonding, dude. We're like searching up YouTube videos on like how to like fix it because we didn't know what we were doing, and we wanted to make it to the next show. And it's just moments like that where we just bond together, because we're like in the middle of a desert and people need to go pee. They're peeing in the desert, and we're just like looking around trying to figure out what's the next step. Everyone's calling their parents. Yeah. Because we're like 18, 19, not knowing how to do anything. Yeah. And there's like 4 dads on the phone at once, all trying to mansplain how to fix it, and it's just like
you got like
it's
4
torture.
FaceTimes going.
Yeah. It's like everyone has different opinions on it, and we're like, oh my god, we're never gonna get out of here. We got out of there, but just moments like that, because like we had another show too where I think it was the first or second show on our first tour that we did with Johnny. Mm-hmm. We parked right next to their huge tour van, and just like a very shitty van next to it. And I don't know how, but our battery died. Oh. And we all had to push it as a team together, and we weren't strong enough, so Johnny's team came and helped us push it. And it was just so humbling. But again, those moments, I feel like you guys become brothers and sisters like that. Yeah,
there's something so beautiful about that. And I also think there's something really beautiful about having those experiences so young. I think they shape you. I think, it's the same in any industry, I suppose, but I think in music specifically, I really feel like the acts, this is an interesting concept, but I think there were a lot of acts who I think during the TikTok era, blew up during the pandemic, and never had the experience of like eating shit a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about eating shit in art for sure. It's a very gritty industry to be in. You know, well, I mean, yes and no. I don't know if I would call it gritty. Like, I'm not calling it like we're not fucking HVAC workers. We sit behind computers. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's difficult to make money in. This is my greater point. So I think like eating shit for a while, I think, is very formative, and I think it's an experience that you share very like specifically with people in music, and that kind of makes you have like a different kind of camaraderie. Again, it's almost like that trauma bonding in a way. Like you can look at somebody like you know, you've experienced this, you get it.
Nothing beats it.
Yeah,
nothing beats trauma bonding.
Yeah, bro.
It's great.
Yeah, were those early tours? What do you think are the biggest lessons you learned from them? Like what? So there were a couple, right? You did the Johnny tour,
and then we did a Good Kid tour.
Nice, and then you just did your first little headlining run, right?
Yeah.
Nice, man.
I think the number one thing is no one's making money.
The facts. Yeah.
No one's making money. This is the wrong industry to be in if you want to make money. I feel like we're strictly doing this for the experience.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, and it's just like the biggest lesson I learned is like, if you're gonna do it, you're doing it for the passion.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Yeah.
And I think this is one thing I'd be curious to see if you've experienced this yet. But I think when I first moved to LA, I developed a very strong and very innate, like almost like second sense of who was doing this for the right reasons and who was not.
Yeah.
It becomes like painfully obvious when you're talking to somebody why they started doing this. Very, very obvious. Within a couple of conversations, you can tell usually.
I agree.
And, you know, I think on the road, you are kind of in a clan very often of like individuals that are only doing this for that reason. They're only doing it for the passion because they love this. Because you're right. No, you know, unless you're the highest echelon of this, you're not making money. Like, that's just the unfortunate reality of it. To be able to make any money off this, to be able to make a living off this, right? To make $40,000 a year, that's a fucking privilege, bro. Like,
that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
That's a lot of money for music.
Even to make like $30,000 a year is a privilege, right?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, you're just getting by at that point. So it's like those people, I think, understand each other in a very specific way that I think a lot of other folks don't.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's my passion, yes, but I also think I would fail at anything else in life.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, put me in like a 9 to 5, I'm getting fired in the first couple hours.
Yeah. Did you work a lot of jobs growing up?
I worked a lot of server jobs.
Yeah, same.
That used to be my thing, because I don't know, I like kind of forced myself to like talk to people, and I just like, it was just such an easy thing in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
easy and hard.
Yeah, easy and hard, 100%. But serving jobs was always my go-to.
Yeah, I did the same thing for 6 years. And it's I always like really attribute any kind of like, I don't know, comfortability I have with interviewing to serving. Genuinely. Like, that was my big thing when I was serving tables for so long, was like, because I guess I worked in restaurants for 6 years, and I guess Above the Bridge was a thing for 5 of those years, and so I was interviewing for 4 of those years. But for those 4, I mean, I did this always, but I really tried to take at least one thing from every single shift at work. Whether it was, you know, a small nugget of wisdom from like an old man, or whether it was like, you know, me teaching myself something, whatever it was. I just really tried to take one thing from every shift. That was always my mindset. But I really think that I got significantly more comfortable talking to folks and significantly better at interviewing because of the fact that I was serving tables, bro. I mean, I would go up to people who I knew had vastly different life experiences with me and try to relate to them on some level and try to have like a really cool, informative conversation with them. I would like pretend like I was interviewing them.
Damn.
And that really got me out of my shell. And I think it's a reason why I do what I do.
I feel like for me, I just like cracking jokes. So I just feel like I'd find like any second that I can, I'd like crack a joke for them.
Yeah, that's the number one way to get a table on your side.
Oh, 100%. Unless they're
make
like
them laugh.
Super stuck up. Then there's times where it goes like really bad too.
For sure.
Like, dude, just bring us our fucking food, you know?
Yeah. Like they don't laugh. Like they just kind of look at you.
It's just like,
that is the worst, bro.
It sucks.
Were you serving at what kind of places did you serve at? Were like higher class places or all around the line?
All higher class places. It was like Italian food.
Nice.
So like I feel like I'm pretty proficient in like knowing my Italian
Fuck
dishes.
yeah. Same, dude. I worked at 2 Italian restaurants. Well, I worked at 1 real Italian restaurant, and then I worked at the Spaghetti Factory. But so that's kind of like a fake Italian restaurant.
Sounds good though.
Do they have that in the Midwest?
No.
Oh,
Don't have that.
Do you know what that is though?
No.
Oh shit. Okay, the Spaghetti Factory is like a chain of like, think of it like Applebee's, but like spaghetti.
Okay.
That's the vibe.
Okay, that's an odd vibe.
Yeah, strange. It's definitely strange. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you go there.
I mean, we have the Cheesecake Factory. Do you guys have Cheesecake Factory?
It's
right?
very similar.
Very similar. Okay.
It's like the Cheesecake Factory if it was Italian.
But spaghetti.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
of
literally
course, yeah.
exactly. And like cheaper than the Cheesecake Factory. Like it's very much. It's almost like Applebee's prices, but like Cheesecake Factory ambiance.
Damn.
Yeah. I know. Crazy way to describe the Spaghetti Factory. But I did that, and then I worked at another Italian restaurant, and then I worked at a dine-in movie theater, and then I worked at a Japanese restaurant, and now I'm doing 1 day a week at a diner.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like diners.
Yeah, me too. It's been the favorite restaurant job I think I've worked. But yeah, man, it takes a long time to figure out that balance, you know?
Yeah.
How was that like for you when you were able to take that plunge and begin doing music, I guess, relatively full time? When did that happen for you, and how did it feel the first couple of weeks?
The full time was recently.
Mm-hmm.
All the people on my job kind of knew about it, and I try not to talk about it though.
Yeah.
Just because I felt embarrassed. I'm like,
I feel you.
I'm doing music, and they're like, oh, "How's your music thing going?" I'm like, "It's going good."
How's that thing going, little buddy?
Yeah. It's just like so dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And I try not to talk about it, but I quit the job, and it's been very scary. I'm just like don't know what to do with myself most days.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, yes, I write music every day, but it's like not for a long period of time.
Certainly,
so it's like, what do I do with myself throughout the whole day? And it's just been like, I've been trying to like get to know myself more, just like do things, eat food that I enjoy or haven't tried, watch movies that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
It's like vacation, basically, in my opinion.
Bro. I mean, that's a pretty big reality too. It's like realizing that there's so much more to being a musician in the music industry than just making the music, and then realizing how to like utilize every hour in your day to like make up a normal work day. It's weird, bro. And I mean, you're busy, like you were saying, like you have sessions every day.
We're doing sessions every day, but it's just like
then it's like, what else?
It's like what else? It's like music never feels like work, so I'm just like, what else is there? Like, what else am I doing today?
Yeah, that is super strange. That's super strange. I think I was very scared of that when I quit my job. So I guess for context, I worked like full time in restaurants for years, and then I quit, and then was just doing music stuff full time for a year, and then like as of like 3 weeks ago, I just got like a 1 day a week serving job at a diner just to make some extra money. But so I'm pretty much just music stuff now. But I was very afraid of that when I first quit, like figuring out that like that kind of balance of like how much time do I devote to this, how much do I not. So I kind of put myself in like a very strict like 9 to 5 schedule, which I kind of thought I would hate at first, but I really fell in love with. Like I really love it.
See, you have discipline. I feel like I think sleep it's also from different. 9 to 5. and then I do my work later.
I mean, that's valid. I think a lot of musicians are like that.
Yeah.
But also, like, I think what I do, it is easier to do that than being a musician.
Yeah.
I also think there's a really tough reality with a lot of writers where it's like you have to live to write. So living is almost as much a part of your job as writing, right?
Yes.
Do you feel that way?
But I don't have a very social life, so I feel like I'm just like pulling. I'm pulling from like my favorite movies, or I'm pulling like from my favorite conversations with friends years ago. But yeah, I've definitely been trying to live more. That's like definitely on my bucket list, and sleep less, I think.
Is that where a song usually starts for you? Like you pinpoint an experience or a feeling that you have?
I feel like I go through my days with my notes app open, and I'll just write words down, and it's like I'm word vomiting. If I see a dog, I'm gonna write dog.
Yeah.
If I see my friends, I'm gonna write maybe an emotion I felt with them. And what I like to do is I like to write 1,000,000 words, and then when I'm in the studio, I'll put those words together. Like, how can the word Red Bull and best friends go together? And then I'll just like figure out how to put them together, and I think it's like a super fun puzzle. It's like, okay, and it's like how you get fun concepts, in my opinion. It's like Red Bull is my best friend, like that boom concept, you know. It's like, it's super weird, but I really enjoy doing it. It's like the big puzzle.
I have a friend who described it to me that way one time, and I think music is well this friend who described it to me was talking about video editing. He's a filmmaker, and I certainly relate to that. I think there is something really beautiful about having to solve those problems. They can be like the most complicated riddles sometimes, but I think at the other end of them is very often where the best material is born. But you have to take joy in that journey, right? Like that concept, like that battle, right? Like going to battle with that fucking riddle. Like, how am I gonna make Red Bull and best friend into hit a pad? How am I gonna turn Red Bull and best friend into one sentence? I think you have to kind of enjoy that journey and that process of figuring it out.
I think it's really funny though. It's like some of the things that I write in my notes shock me. Do you have my phone on me? No, I don't. Anyways, I think I've wrote some really crazy stuff, like those 4 a.m. thoughts that you have.
Yeah.
I just I'll write some crazy things, like my stomach is churning, and then for somehow it creeps its way into a love song.
Yeah.
And it's just lines like that are super fun to do.
Yeah, it's sick too, and those are the ones you go back to and laugh about because you're like, damn, I didn't expect that.
Because they
to
mean a whole different thing when you write it down.
Yeah.
When I wrote my stomach is churning, I probably had to take a number 3 or something. And
what's a number 3? It's combo 1 and 2.
Yeah, I feel like it's a combo of 1 and 2. Yeah, number 3 is a combo of 1 and 2, and number 4 is
whoa,
you can't make it to the toilet. I feel like. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I've created my own scale.
Yeah, all right, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
We'll draw it out real quick. Put it on a graph.
Yeah. We'll talk about this off camera. The scale.
Yeah, that's funny. What do you think is the biggest thing you've missed about Chicago since you've been out here?
The food.
Really?
Dude, tacos suck out here.
Whoa.
Dude, it's the worst.
I think you might be the only person in the world with that take.
I've heard a lot of people say it. It's
you're arguing that tacos in the Midwest are better than tacos 2 hours from Mexico?
In Chicago.
In Chicago specifically?
Yes, are so much more better than tacos in LA.
I'll take your word for it.
Dude, yeah. I've gone every, I feel like taco, I don't remember names, but I've visited a million, I was on tour basically, and I've gone to I've gone to so many taco stands, giving them a shot.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what are we doing here?
What's the favorite one you found here?
None.
Have you been to Via's Tacos in Highland Park?
I think street tacos are up there
for sure. Yeah. Have you been to Via's Tacos in Highland Park?
No.
Have you been to Happy Tacos in Echo Park?
I think so.
That spot is nuts. If you get the molitas fritas,
okay,
it's like a deep fried molita.
Interesting,
dude. It's fucked. It's so good. Okay. And then Angel's Tijuana Tacos is really good. What's another? What am I missing? Taco Zone in Silver Lake's really good.
See, that doesn't sound like that. That sounds fake.
Oh, Leo's is fire. Yeah.
Taco Zone sounds fake.
Well, that's like a white person name for sure.
Yeah.
Like Taco Zone. Yeah. Via's though is the most valid taco I've had in LA.
Okay.
It's a Michelin star taco place in Highland Park, and it's $3 tacos, and it's Michelin star.
Oh.
It's fucked, man.
Interesting.
It's really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
You mentioned when you were kind of growing up playing different shows and stuff, that you were playing guitar for some people. Did I hear that correctly? Like you were kind of
no, I play guitar for myself. Sorry.
Gotcha. Oh no. Okay. Gotcha. Is that how songs always have started for you? Is as an instrumentalist? Because that's interesting to me. How has that process kind of changed over the years? Does it remain the same? Are you kind of solely writing on guitar?
I don't think it ever changed. I consider myself a jack of all, master of none. I can play notes on a piano, not that it'll sound good.
Yeah.
I can play chords on a guitar, not that it'll always sound perfect. And I think there's kind of a beauty to that, because I do things wrong, and sometimes it sounds cool, and I'm like, okay. And I think once I write something that sounds cool but sounds kind of wrong, that's when I bring it to someone or a friend or something. I'm like, what can we do with this?
Yeah. And
I think that's how songs usually start for me.
There's some really there's a lot of beauty in that, though. I think the mistakes.
Yeah. Being technical is just it's cool, but it's so perfect. I think I like people doing a double take on my music. Oh, that doesn't sound right, but it sounds cool.
That's awesome.
You know?
Yeah, that's sick. Not that it this is the wordage, but it almost seeks to offend in a sense. It's it seeks to kind of have somebody take a look back, oh well, maybe that chord is not where I would have went, but there's something really special about that. I think that has a lot to do I think that's very similar to the live show, where like the live show is so special because you're only experiencing that thing with that crowd of people and that band in that day, and it will never sound exactly the same ever again. There's something I think really, really special about that energy in the room that exists also in the studio. I think like trying to curate the right feeling with the right producer on the right day, so much goes into that.
I mean,
like,
yeah, there's like, I feel like there's so many factors when you're in a room with different people.
Yeah.
It's like, how was your morning?
Exactly, yeah.
Are you and your girlfriend good? Are you and your boyfriend good? You know, it's like, there's so many factors of like going into a studio with different people.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a beauty in considering studio sessions like therapy. Just letting it all out.
Yeah. I think the best engineers and the best producers are folks that are really good at that.
Yeah.
Are really good at bringing that out of artists. Almost like making the studio such a safe space and such a just like an open spot.
Yeah.
To where like an artist can come in and they can veer their grievances in a way that feels comfortable. And they can kind of like, you know, figure out through that process of like being as honest as possible what it is they're trying to say.
I feel like this last project that I did, it was kind of similar to that. I did it with my buddy Sean Kennedy.
Is he from Chicago?
No, he's from LA.
Gotcha.
He was like one of the first people that let me stay on his couch.
That's
and
cool.
I love him to death. And I think every time we do a quote unquote session, it'd just be us hanging out for hours before we even touched a microphone, before we even touched a guitar.
Yeah.
And just like, I think like just talking shit, you know? It's like doing what boys do. We talk shit, and we'd complain about life. We complain about our life. We complain about others' life. We complain about everything in the world. And then finally, I think we're just like, okay, let's pick up a guitar.
Yeah.
And we just like find something in those conversations.
Yeah. It's so interesting that like, I don't think you're alone in this, but I think a lot of people now describe that as the exception where that used to be the rule. I think a lot of the internet has reshaped the, I mean, maybe it's the internet, right? Maybe it's also like the intense saturation of the music industry, but I think it's interesting that art has been commodified to the point where what you just described wouldn't be the rule. I think for a long time it was. When you know, not to say there, I mean, there's a million artists that still do this, but it's just I think that session culture, that like I'm gonna put you in a room with somebody today and figure it out. Sometimes that's difficult. I think like,
yeah, I feel like there's like a couple hours of like, what's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Did you have a dog in life? Are your parents good? And it's just like talking about that for a little bit before even touching music, because like you don't know this person.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like there's always that awkwardness when you're first meeting someone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, what brings you here? It's like, it's so weird, but
well, it's so sacred, bro.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it goes really good half the time, and I think other times it's just like you kind of know it from the first like 10 minutes, I think, if you guys are gonna make a good song or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, art is so fucking sacred, bro. Like it's so personal.
Yeah.
I often have like really struggled and questioned if we should, or to the degree that we should be commodifying art in general. I think again, when it becomes your career, there has to be some attention given to like the commodification of it all, and sometimes that takes away from the authenticity of it, which I think can be very hard as an artist, for sure. It's like, okay, like I'm gonna, you know, like I want to be as honest as I possibly can on this track, but you also have to consider the fact that, you know, however many people are going to hear this.
Oh yeah, I think about filtering myself all the time.
Yeah. Is that hard? Do you ever struggle either for a reason of being in the room with the wrong people, or either, you know, not, or having trouble being as honest as you possibly can on the mic because you know people are going to hear it? Like, how do you kind of get over that hump of being as honest as you can?
At first, I think it was an issue for me. I just like wasn't, I filtered myself because I was too scared of what people would think and what like they would think. But I think lately it's been more of like a fuck it vibe, where it's just like, I want this person to hear it, you know? It's like, I think it's such a funny thing to do, to drop real names in songs. It's like, never in a bad way. I try not to do that, but I think it's hilarious. I just wrote a song recently called "Ode to the Bros." It's not out yet, but it's not a ballad. It's just an ode to the bros, and I like name drop all my friends in it. I'm just like, Tony's always working weekends. Ella's always texting typos. Cameron's always on a high note, and it's just like, just a shout out to the bros. It's a shout out to smoking weed. It's a shout out to the long nights, and I think there's just such beauty and honesty. Yeah. And I think that song's the most honest I've been ever. And I say things that would make my parents mad, and I think it's just such a beauty, and that's one of my favorite songs that I have right now, like in my phone, and I listen to it every day.
Yeah, that's really cool, bro. I think because it's so strange, right? There's like the separation between like you as an artist and you as a person sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, where do those collide? And sometimes that's awkward.
People want to know. People want to relate. It's like, a lot of people don't say that. It's like your favorite artist is doing the same thing you're doing, you know? It's like, people don't think about that, and I think it's really fun when people get vulnerable on the mic and say things like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's also this strange perception and like understanding barrier between artist and fan very often. Where like, I was talking to this band recently, and like they aren't the biggest. They have like whatever many 100,000 monthlies or whatever, and like, you know, they're playing like cool 300 cap rooms or whatever, but you know, like they're still like struggling musicians. And
everyone is.
Yeah, for sure. And they were telling me how like they often get this strange perception from fans, or people just like think they're up. Like people think they're, oh, like you're rich, like you've made it.
No, I'll tell people.
It's so
I'll
strange.
Screenshot my bank account.
Yeah.
Enough for a coffee today and tomorrow. That's it.
Yeah.
After that, I'm on my own.
Yeah, bro. And it's such like a strange understanding barrier between like the artist and the fan sometimes. But I think, you know, to your point, what you were saying, when you can give them a glimpse into your life, like these are my friends, I'm talking about them, this is where I am in life, in like a truly honest way. I think that becomes very relatable, because folks realize that, you know, we're all more similar than we think we are.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know, it's all communication, and it's strange. I think it's hard to do. But did you when you first moved out, well, I guess, you know, in the past like month or so, 2 months since you've been out here, did you have a big musical community out here in LA before you moved here, or have you kind of grown a lot of friends and connections since you've been here? And also, like, did you ever have that to this degree in Chicago, in terms of a large musical community?
I've had a great large musical community in Chicago, and I'm so thankful for it. I have so many friends, so many bands that I know, and I think part of that is me going to shows to support anybody.
Yeah, it's huge.
Anything that I would see on Instagram, I'm just like, I'm going to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to it.
You came to our electronic show. Thank you for coming.
Wow, dude, it's amazing. Yeah. And I think part of that is just like, I feel like when I was living at my parents at the time and I was like super young, it's like I wanted to go out, and I tried to go to every show that I can. And I met so many people that I still talk to this day, and I still work with to this day. And I don't know, there's just a beauty in forcing yourself to go out.
Yeah.
And as to LA, though, I didn't know anyone, honestly. I feel like I've always stuck to myself, because LA's been always so
it's scary.
Yeah, it's been so scary. It's like, there's like all these hot models. I don't know, dude. I'm blushing. I'm nervous, and I don't know. I can't do it. It's a lot.
Or just like people that'll talk to you about their career for an hour before you get a word in. It's it's intimidating, bro.
It's super intimidating. Yeah. Like I just made $1 million on Wall Street. I'm like, whoa,
that's amazing. Yeah,
that's amazing.
I don't care.
Yeah, I had to skip coffee this morning because I couldn't afford it. But
dude, that was a crazy thing for me when I first moved to LA. I do think though, and it seems like you've certainly found your people though. I think that's a really beautiful process when it 100%. Happens. How did you did you know a lot of folks at all when you moved here? You say you know very many, right?
One of the first times I was out here, I was like 15. I was recording songs. That was whatever. And then I came out here again when I was like 17. And that's when I stayed with my friend Sean, or 17 or 18, something like that. And he let me sleep on his couch, and he introduced me to a lot of people. And I guess it kind of was like a stepping stool from there. Like I met that person introduced me to that person introduced me to that person, and just like, it's how LA works, I feel like. But with that, I met a lot of people, and met some of my best friends. Yeah, just because one person.
And I think it's interesting, like the person you first meet in like a coffee, or like the person you meet in like a whatever, you go to dinner with them or whatever, that's never the person that's going to be your best friend. You always tend to like gravitate, it's strange how like things spiral, but I certainly felt like there was like this perceived like type of person that was here when I moved here, or at least I perceived them in that way. The LA whatever culture. And then I think you very quickly begin to learn the more people you meet, that there are some folks that are just like you and me, just very normal, very down to earth, whatever. It takes a long time though, I think, to find that community for sure. But I think once you do, it gets to be incredibly gratifying, and this place gets a lot scarier for sure.
I think it's still scary, but
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it will be. I think there's something beautiful about that though.
Yeah.
Like making that jump, you know.
Yeah.
I want to talk about kind of something you do in your music, which I think is really sick, is where like you'll have verses where you're fully speaking in English and then you just switch up to Spanish like halfway through, which is something that I think is really, really sick. And I was curious, like being somebody who's bilingual, and I assume growing up in a bilingual household, right?
My first language was Spanish, but then I was like slowly losing it, and then I like forced myself to talk to my grandma more because she only speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
And I like call her. I'm like, and just practice my Spanish.
Okay,
She'd,
gotcha.
Like, love to hear from me.
Nice. Okay.
And yeah, I just practiced it and started learning it more again because like it sucks it being a first language and me forgetting it, but I feel like I picked it up again, and that's when I started bringing it into music. I'm like, okay, this is super cool because like I've always listened to Spanish music growing up, and like in the household and stuff like that, and I don't know, it just came super natural. Like I never wrote in Spanish before, and it just like came out one day. I'm like, whoa, this is sick.
I was curious, like, do you think about songs when they come first in English or Spanish, or is it a mix?
English for sure.
Always?
It's just like, it was just so natural. Sometimes like when the music is right, you just like, you want to get a little spicy with it, and it comes out in Spanish.
Yeah. I will say sometimes that language just sounds cooler than English.
100%. It's so romantic.
Yeah, dude. It really is.
Yeah, it's just like, you're like, whoa, what the hell did you just say?
I don't know if it's like a syllables thing or just like
I think it's an accent thing.
Yeah, it's like a speed of speech almost.
Yeah, it's like super strong.
Yeah. Did you, like, when you first did that, right, when you first started writing in Spanish, did you kind of surprise yourself? Did it just come out 100%. Naturally?
I never thought I'd write a Spanish song in my life, but it just happened, and I'm waiting for it to happen again, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really cool though. I think it definitely broadens like an audience thing for sure, which I think is really beautiful.
100%.
Dude, there's some bands that I think really play with that in an interesting way. There's this Korean pop band I like a lot called Hayuko. Yeah, they're really sick, but they go from like English to Spanish to Korean.
Whoa.
Yeah, which is really crazy.
So some of them are Hispanic?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is a really crazy concept, and the way they move, it fully made me think about language differently, and like not only what you're saying, but the way that what you're saying sounds.
3 languages is like overstimulating.
Yeah,
I feel like.
But it's interesting because it makes me not think about what they're saying at all.
Just English is overstimulating. Just like 3 languages, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it's a lot.
It's cool though.
Sure.
It's definitely sick.
Yeah, or yeah, no, it's super sick to kind of like, but yeah, it like almost transcended like the language barrier for me. Like I was like, I don't even care what you're saying right now. Just the way that you're saying it sounds really interesting to me. Yeah, it's been cool, bro. I want to ask you about the new EP. Well, I guess not new now. It's like 4 months old, 5 months old, right?
Who knows? I have no idea.
Yeah, something like that.
It's released. It's out in the world. That's all that matters. Because like, yeah, the EP was written so much like a year before probably.
Yeah. Are you somebody who like when you finish a project, you're like instantly running to make more music, or do you take time off in between?
I instantly run to make more music, but I also recognize that I need a second to like...
Yeah, be human.
Yeah, be human for a little bit. And I think I fail in being human sometimes, but yeah, I need to be human more for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely hard.
Yeah.
I think it gets hard when you're trying to like maintain that consistency, which does matter a lot. So I think it can be difficult to remind yourself to be a person, you know?
Yeah.
And I suppose like you've also, in terms of releases and stuff, like you have 3 EPs out, right?
Yeah, 3 EPs now.
So I guess like, see, that's really cool. Like, have you always thought about songs in terms of projects, or is that a thing that you've kind of had to develop as you've gotten further into this?
I feel like I've never think of songs as projects, but when like a manager tells me you have enough songs, I'm just like, all right, throw it on a project.
Yeah.
I guess I've never really cared about like albums, EPs.
Interesting.
It's just like I just want to put the music out, dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
Interesting, because I always think about it, because I'm very much the opposite. I remember very much like an albums person.
Really?
Yeah. But I think there's something really beautiful about like a collection of like a very short, sweet collection of 5 songs. And I think like there are endless examples of it. But I think, yeah, it's really cool to kind of like simplify things down, I think, to that point where it's like we're only thinking about this moment and this song and this time. Which
I feel
cool.
like EPs are super cool to like as you continue to find yourself, and albums like when you found yourself.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like, and at this rate, I don't think we're ever gonna get an album. I don't know if I'll ever find myself truly, but definitely another EP coming. Yeah.
Do you ever make songs where you're like, that's an album cut, or no?
No, I don't know. Maybe. I feel like silly songs. Sometimes I think, oh, I just like cop out. That's like my cop out. Oh, this is an album cut.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like that's the vibe.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was curious too, because you put out like a ton of music, like honestly not even that long, which is really impressive. But putting out so much music, like, I know you said you're recording a ton right now. Does a lot of stuff get left on the cutting room floor? Like, are you somebody who's cutting a ton of songs?
So much
really?
Gets left on the floor. It's like, it's a lot of stupid songs, but yeah, I mean, if I'm making a song, I'm trying to make a song every day for like the next month.
Wow, bro.
And that's like 30 songs. Only like 3 of them are gonna make it.
Yeah.
It's just like so crazy. It's like they're all my babies, but you gotta choose the best baby.
Yeah, kill your darlings.
Yeah, sorry.
That's gotta be difficult though, to like really narrow down that many tracks.
Yeah, well, yeah, but you just kind of know which ones are the good ones. Yeah, I feel like I send it out to like a million friends. I'm like,
gotcha.
Which baby do you like more?
Do you tend
Should we get rid of this one?
Do you know instantly, or does it take a while?
I feel like I know instantly, unconsciously, but I'm still always looking for like that validation. I'm like, yeah, is my baby cute? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I would assume it's a feeling thing too.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I would assume the feeling is so much stronger when you make something that you really gravitate towards versus something where you're like, this is cool.
Yeah. Adoption, you know.
Yeah. We could throw that one up for adoption.
Yeah, we could throw it up for adoption. No worries.
Yeah. Has it been, making so much music and doing so many sessions and stuff, have you, I know you said there was that one homie that you made a lot of the early music with. Has it been difficult to find producers like outside of him that you think really fit your feeling and what you're going for? And it's almost like speed dating sometimes, the whole session thing. Like, has it been difficult to find folks that you really gravitate towards? Or have there been like 1 or 2 or 3 that like you're like, oh, like I really want to like stick with these people for future reference?
I'm super picky, so I haven't like found them yet, and maybe I'm never gonna find them, and that's okay. It's like dating, you know. I'm just like,
it is like speed dating.
I'm over it. I'm so over it. Yeah. It's like Hinge and producer dating are so similar.
Yeah, dude.
And at this rate, I'm never gonna find love or a producer.
Well, there's so much that goes into it. Like, you have to be almost like a perfect match, like on so many levels, right? Like, not even just musically. Yeah. You gotta like be a good hang. You gotta like enjoy the time you spend with somebody. You have to like feel comfortable enough to open up to them on a lyrical level. Yeah. They have to like be a good producer, obviously. Like, they have to like be the correct fit. There's so many things that go into it that I think you can go your whole life without finding your guy, Yeah,
super hard.
Yeah, I'm sure it can be difficult. Do you, I mean, coming from an instrumental background of like writing mostly on guitar, have you ever done any of your production yourself?
Yeah, I do a lot of it myself. I feel like I don't know how to do it right, but I just, if I'm on my laptop long enough, I'll make some type of sound. Yeah. And it's worked out a couple times where it's like it becomes a song and it becomes on the project, and it's a lot of experimenting, but I think I'm getting better at it. Yeah, and there's something really cool about that though, I think. Like, having that bandwidth to just sit there and figure it out. I think that's that for me, at least sometimes with like, video editing and whatever. That's when where the breakthroughs are, I think. When you like sit there and you fight through all the bad shit to really find the thing that sticks with you. It takes a long time sometimes, I think, but I do really believe that, like, if you can fight through all that uninspiring, boring shit, eventually you get to the bottom of whatever you're trying to say. And I think that becomes, like, the most valuable thing that you can possibly make because it took so long to make, What, as you've kind of progressed and, like, begun to put out more music and stuff, I was curious,
does your process change from like project to project? Because you said you have 3 EPs out. The most recent one, the self-titled one, was the process for a lot of those songs and the feeling behind them as you were making them. Did it feel different from the first couple EPs? And what do you think are the biggest things you improved upon in the writing process?
I think it always feels the same, and I'm always as clueless as the next project.
Yeah,
it's like I'm just I don't know what I ever want, and it's just like it takes the same amount of time, it takes the same amount of confusion, it takes the same amount of ideas for each project, and I never know what I'm doing, and it works out. You know, I think there's a beauty of things being a mess.
Yeah,
and I think my projects have been kind of, maybe at least in my eyes, a mess, but maybe perfect in someone else's eyes. And I think that's cool. One man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I think when you have that sort of messy process, you are cutting it down to the raw emotion, which I think is something that's very beautiful. It's like you're just, at the end of the day, when you really get down to it, you're just expressing the emotion. And a lot of the polished stuff is cut out, which I think is really important, you know?
Yeah.
Is it difficult to know when a song's done? Like, in terms of like a polish level? Like, do you know when something's finished?
I think the second I want to add a bunch more to it, it's done. It's like, don't do it. You know, it's like I want to mess it up. I've noticed like the second I want to add a million things to it and I add those million things, then it sounds like a carnival song. Just like chaos, monkeys.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
Then is the process like stripping those things back and trying to figure out like what you want to keep?
Yeah. I think it's stripping those things back or just never touching it. You know, it's like once you're questioning, is it done? It's normally done.
Yeah.
That's like what I found works.
That makes a lot of sense. I think once you're questioning if it is or not, if it is or is not done, the raw like emotion that was there that very first day when you were really feeling those emotions and you wrote the song originally, that's kind of stripped away.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's something really, really specific about like that feeling in the studio that day. Like you can always hear that in the song, especially like songs that I think go on to have different iterations and stuff. It's like, I don't know, the pure demo, like the first day demo, is something that I think is very 100%. Sacred for sure. And I think the more you add, sometimes you can get away from that like initial emotion, you know?
Yeah, I always think the best melodies come from like the first demo.
Do you find yourself going back to those more than like prior demos?
Oh yeah, because like I'm a big overthinker, and I'll go through like 12 different versions of a song, and I end up using the first version. And it's just like,
yeah,
I'm an idiot for thinking I could do 11 more versions and think that's gonna be better.
Yeah,
but the first version's always normally the best.
I think all artists are overthinkers, bro. Yeah. I think it's like part of the process.
Yeah.
Has that gotten easier for you over the years?
Never.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, never. I'm always going to be an overthinker.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay. There's a beauty in it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, like I said, like I feel like that's very artist quality.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard thing to like beat out of yourself. What do you think in terms of like improvements? If it's not on that front, what are some fronts where you think over the years you found a lot of improvement on? Like what has in your process become more streamlined and easier and begun to make more sense the more music you made?
I have to pee so bad.
Yeah.
Can we pause it? Can we pause it? Yeah.
You're good.
I have to pee.
All right, pause.
Can we do that?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Pee break. Done.
Pee break. We're back. We're good.
Rejuvenated. Lively.
Now we're locked in.
The liquid's out of me. I
think I was asking, what do you think in terms of your process? What's the biggest thing you've improved upon musically the further you've done it?
My songwriting for sure. I used to be like scared of saying things, I think.
Yeah.
I think mainly because I was like 15 at the time, 16 at the time when I first started songwriting.
Yeah.
I'm like, what would my parents see? That was like always my number one concern.
Dude, I feel that.
Because like being vulnerable is cool when you're being vulnerable to like no one who knows you.
For sure.
And I'm just like saying things I've never told my parents in my music. I'm just like, damn.
That's vastly different, bro.
I'm just like, guys, it's fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, saying, like exactly what you said is so true. Like, saying the most vulnerable stuff to folks you've never met versus your parents is entirely different, which is strange, right? You would think it wouldn't be that way, but it certainly is.
In a song, I'm saying how much I'm heartbroken, how much I want to cry.
Yeah.
And just like your parents hearing that, like, heartbroken, and like, oh, my baby.
Yeah, well, like, it's real to them.
Yeah, or like how much you want to, like, smash like with someone. It's so weird, but I think, I don't know. I've learned to embrace it. I think they've learned to love it as well. They're like,
that's really cool.
You're such a weirdo. I'm like, yeah, I am.
Are you really close to your parents?
Yeah, I've gotten like super close to them. I think because the music thing, and it's like we talk a lot about music, talk a lot about life experiences more, and it was like a slow process opening up, but we're on the same page now.
That's really cool.
We're on the same page.
Are they in the music world at all? Are they into it?
No, they love the music, but they're not in the music world at all. I don't know how. I really don't know how I got the talent, or I don't know how I got music in me, but it just happened. They're not musical at all, but my brother is. He's like kind of picked it up off me. He's doing the same little route.
Younger? Yeah.
He's like learning saxophone. He's playing guitar. He's doing little bands like I used to do.
That's got to be such amazing. A cool thing to watch,
super
bro.
Cool. Super cool.
Were they at your La La set?
Yeah, they were all there. And then I got to take my brother to see other artists that he probably was more excited about.
What was he excited about? Tom Fike?
He was excited for Grant Perez, and I took him.
Whoa!
I took him side stage for that one, because I went on side stage, and then his eyes lit up like I've never seen before. I'm like, this is great,
dude. I just got chills.
Dude, I just played. No worries, I just played.
How was my set, bro?
Yeah.
Damn, that is so cool, man. There's something so beautiful about that when they begin to understand.
I'm happy though. He got his experience. He got to see his favorite artist, and it's just like, it was a good vibe.
That's so fucking cool. I mean, like, my parents, like, they're super supportive, but they didn't, like, I don't think they fully comprehended or understood what I was doing until I started throwing shows. It was just all internet stuff prior to that, so it was very difficult to wrap that. I mean, they're both chefs, like, you know.
Oh wow! So they just think like you're mentally ill.
I mean, they might be right, but like,
aren't we all though?
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
but very different world, obviously. So like when they, I think the first moment. I mean, I think about this a lot, and it's a moment that I'll think about for the rest of my life. But the very first show that we ever threw, we sold out, and well, I guess it was like close to sell out, whatever. But it was very packed. That was the first show I ever threw, and I don't think they fully comprehended it until they saw like 200 people in a room, and they were like, "Oh, like this is what you're doing on your computer at 4 in the morning." And that night after that first show, obviously, like, you know, 18 throwing your first show, super geeked. So like you go out after hanging out with your friends. So I was out till like pretty late, like 3 in the morning or whatever. And I came home, and my mom had like left this note on my keyboard, and it said like. It was just it said a lot, but the ending was just, "I love you and I trust you," and I think
that's deep.
Yeah,
that's like so important.
Yeah, it meant a lot to me.
Yeah,
like it's. I think you can spend your whole life trying to get that trust from your parents, and it's very difficult to grapple with it when it's something that's out of their realm of knowledge. I
think at the same time, it's like we're not doing it for ourselves completely; we're doing it for them as well.
Yeah,
I know everyone wants to like look out for their parents, and I do as well.
Yeah,
and it's like. There's like a certain trust of like moving away from your parents like to a different state, and it's just like you could be doing jack shit, but it's like they trust you that you're doing the good thing.
Yeah.
There's still some jack shit in between doing the good thing, but overall doing the good thing.
And there's an amount of grace you get because they're your parents.
Yeah.
What was their reaction like to your Lollapalooza set? Like, was that? I'm sure that was a huge moment for them.
I feel like they've seen my set a million times.
But that one's different.
Yeah, it was different, but it's hard to gauge parents.
Totally. I feel like it's hard to put a rate on them.
Yeah. It's like this could mean I just saw the best set ever, and it's super hard to gauge. But they were super happy. They were super supportive, and I think they had a great time.
Damn, that's really beautiful, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of love in that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. What I guess on that note, like along the lines of you trying to figure it out and grow as an artist, was there? I know you started making music so young. Did you know, like right off rip, like was it the kind of thing where like I am going to do this for the rest of my life, or was there a pivotal and defining moment where you figured that out?
I think as soon as I made my first song, I'm like, I need to do this for the rest of my life because I don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah,
it's like I didn't struggle in high school. In high school, I was like a pretty good student, but as soon as I hit college, I'm like, whoa, I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah,
and it
gets real, dude.
Yeah, it gets 100% real, and I just don't see any major in college me enthusiastically showing up to work or like school and doing that subject.
Is it weird living that double life, like going to school at the same time as like doing music?
Yeah, it's super weird. I hate to say it feels like a waste of time, but I'm trying to get my degree. I do want to get my degree.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's a lot of validity in that.
Yeah. It's just more like I've put so much time in it already. It's like my application took so long, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna get it done. I'm gonna try to get it done.
Yeah, and even if you don't go on to use it, it's for yourself to a certain degree.
Yeah.
To prove to yourself that you did it. And I also think there's a lot of value in whatever field you're in, and just being a well-rounded human being. There's like infinite value in that, you know, whether you have a college degree and the experiences that you've gotten through that. I think that can go into music, that can go into anything. It just makes you a more well-rounded person, you know. What I want to ask too about the last EP. It certainly felt like, I mean, in comparison to the prior two, this one being the self-titled. I mean, I guess it wasn't titled Adan Diaz, it was titled Adan.
It was a pronunciation, yeah.
But like, you know, it being, I guess, more of a self-titled thing. The world in this one definitely feels built out in a really cool way. All the photos with all the little characters behind you and stuff, I thought were really sick. Yeah. And it was interesting. Like when I was looking at them, I expected to find one that looked like you, but none of them really did, which was really cool. And I was wondering if that was intentional, and did that kind of branding thing come in when you were making the project or after?
The characters were after the project. I like listened to the songs, and I'm like, there's a lot of visual cool things in this project, and I just wanted to like show them visually without having to do like a bunch of music videos, because I hate being on camera. But it's like, there's like some lines in there like, you're a diva fighting galaxies, and like Jerk Times 2. And I'm like, let's draw a diva. Let's draw a diva. And then like there's another line in that song where like, I'm a dog with flaws, like let's draw a dog, you know. It's like it's very lyric oriented, the characters, and I just like wanted to like take another step and make it lively. I took a lot of inspiration from like the Gorillaz. Like they do a lot of character work, and it's super cool, and I just like, I don't know, I wanted to build a little world.
Which is really sick, man. Almost like a caricature of some of the subject matters of the song. Yeah, that's really cool. I think Gorillaz is a really cool comp there.
So cool.
I mean, what they do with their world is just like so expansive, bro, and it's so much more than the music.
It's become a form of like art for them. Like a bunch of people are like doing guerrilla style art, and it's like, it's so cool how we can say guerrilla style art, because that's literally just their band name. That's so cool. I mean, those are the kind of things where like it almost like transcends them. It's become a style, like it's influential to that degree where it's like, it's almost like Wes Anderson color grading, right? It's like there's all these things where it's like the name transcends even what their work is. It's become like a genre of work. And there's something so amazing about that. Well, their drawings are like so professional and so cool and so lively. And I think for me, I think I've never done anything right or the right way. So like I tried to give it like a DIY feel, like my drawings, because like I can't draw. It's like, you know, I don't want it professional. I've never been professional in my life. I've shown up to interview in like joggers and a hoodie, you know. It's like, I think there's
that's the vibe of this show.
Such a beauty in that, and I didn't want any of the drawings to look professional, so I literally like helped draw them, and I think there's like such a beauty in it, just looking like anyone can do it, you know?
I mean, it's from your hand.
It's from my hand.
It's you, and I think there's something really beautiful about that. It's interesting. I think like so many people get so into this where like all they're trying to do is be a version of them that's not true, and it's like the best stuff only comes when you let go of all of that and all of the external pressure and all of the like fear that the presentation of your authentic self might not be what people are looking for. It's ironic because that's all they're looking for.
I think I struggled so much with that too. It's like I'm looking for like the most professional artist to do this, and then one day I just like did like a mock-up of what I wanted, and I'm like, this is perfect. Honestly, let's skip all that. Let's just stick with this.
That's beautiful, man. That's really, really cool. That's really sick. I love that. Cool. Adan Diaz, I think last thing I wanted to ask you, if you could have one message that you wanted to spread through your music or even the last project, What's one thing you want people to take from the music? One message.
Be a weirdo, you know? It's like, honestly, be a weirdo. Be your weirdest self. It's okay. It's okay. Be a weirdo. That's it.
Yeah, that's fucking beautiful. I love that. Yeah, dude. Well, I love the music, man. Really, really love what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, you have a very authentic image that I think is really sick. I think more people need to take notes on how to be themselves, and I think you do a great job at that.
Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, man.
Had a blast.
Fuck yeah, dude. Tell them where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can stream.
Adan Diaz, ADAN space DIAZ. You could find me everywhere.
Hell yeah. Thanks a lot, brother.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Music matters.
Yep.